How to quit your 9 to 5 without going broke. This video is going to be one of the most transformative pieces of advice that you can receive if you action the steps. Hi, I'm Shelley and I own the Female Sales Accelerator. I'm a high ticket sales coach and I teach women how to build their dream lives off the back of the methods that helped me transform mine from going to 0 to 38K a month as a high ticket closer. And one of the questions I get asked all the time is I want to get into high ticket sales, but I don't know how to balance them both and to be able to quit my job steadily and safely while also learning a new skill. And I get it, it is a minefield. I've done it myself when I used to work as a nanny, and I'm going to break down the step-by-step plan, the blueprint that I would tell you to put in place if you were one of my students. And this is what we go through with every single one of the ladies within the program to help them make that transition safely and not in a scarcity mindset. So let's get into it. First things first, we need to calculate our freedom number. Now, I asked this question to every single one of the ladies in my program when they join the program, in their onboarding when creating their custom roadmap. I am not talking about your dream income. I am not talking about 10, 20K months, life is great, traveling the world. I am talking about the absolute bare minimum that you would need to survive. Okay, so what pays your rent, your food shop, your bills, and add a 20% buffer onto that for emergencies like your car breaking down or something, something could happen in the month. You need to add a 20% buffer to your absolute bare minimum income. Now, this is not an income where you're buying yourself new clothes every month or going out drinking or traveling. This is a survival income. And the reason we need to do this first things first is because we can't have our cake and eat it. We can't be in a position where we're working a full-time job and we're making our dream income. Like, don't get me wrong, I've actually had some women in my program who have been able to achieve it, but it's the exception, not the rule. And I'm here to give you realistic advice, not advice in a dream world, So for the average person, we need to figure out what is it going to take, what is the minimum amount of income you need to make part-time to be able to leave your job. So I'll give you an example. When I was working in nannying, I made £1,800 on a good month. That was my income on a monthly basis from working 6 a.m. till 6 p.m. in Monday to Friday. So for me, I needed, and that £1,800 I would say I'd needed around 1,500 to cover my rent. I was living in an apartment by myself, my bills and things like that. And I saved around £200, £300 a month into my savings. So forget about saving right now as well. It's literally just what you would need to make on a bare minimum. Is what I did. By the way, this is not financial advice. This is just the plan that has worked for me and hundreds of women. So I equated that I would need to make between 1,500 and 1,800, which would give me a 20% buffer, bare minimum in high ticket sales to quit. My first month, I made £950. So not enough to quit. My second month, I made £2,200. Now that is enough to quit, but I wanted an extra month to make sure that wasn't a one-off and that was like a proven concept. My third month, I made £4,200. So we really got to work on that month, and that was it. That was the month I quit, because that was the proven concept for me. I was able to also put £2,000 of that aside as a buffer. So I was earning my nannying salary, and everything that I was earning from sales, I put aside as my buffer. So actually it was more than 2,000. It would have been 6 or 7,000. Right? Because I was earning my nannying salary. Exactly. So that's how much I was able to put aside as my emergency fund. We want to make sure that when you're venturing into high ticket sales and you're working 2 jobs, the money you're making from sales, which I'm about to get onto in a moment, is your emergency fund. You're not just going to go and spend it. So figure out what you need bare minimum to be able to walk away from your job. Next, we need to choose our exit vehicle. So for me, that was high ticket sales. If you're watching this, it's most likely you're thinking about getting into high ticket sales too. Otherwise, this channel is pretty niche. But you may have just found this video and maybe discovering what high ticket sales is. If so, I definitely recommend checking out some of my other videos on my channel that gives you a lot more education around that, and then come back to this one. So it's finding what your exit vehicle is. For me, it was high ticket sales. I wanted to be able to earn income based on my input. I wanted my output to represent my input. With my nannying job, no matter how many hours I worked or what I did within those hours, no matter how well I, did my duties, my income wasn't going to change. And that is something that made me feel so trapped. That really, I hated it. Even though I loved the children I was working with and it's a lovely family, I hated that no matter what, my income wasn't going to change. So for me, that vehicle was an absolute no-brainer, and I invested in mentorship immediately to make that a reality. But for you, it's finding that vehicle and investing in that mentor to make this a reality. Now that may mean using all of your savings and feeling scary at first, but that was me. So I invested every penny I had remaining into a mentor. But it's got to be done. No risk, no good reward comes without no risk. I think that's the quote. You have to find your vehicle and then you have to give it 110%. There's no point trying to have your fingers in a gazillion pies. You have to find one thing and go all in on it. Next, it's building your safety net while you're building your skills. So this goes back to my first point. It's about building that emergency fund. You don't need to quit your job overnight. Now, you may be in a really fortunate position where maybe you live at home or you have a lot of savings set aside already and you can just quit off the bat. And if you can, I'd encourage it because more time means more income. But if you're watching this and you're the majority of women who can't just do that and you genuinely need to replace your income first, then you want to be doing sales on a part-time basis. So it's finding a role that's in a different time zone to you so you can be able to do your 9 to 5 and sales. I help my women step by step within my program figure out what that is so they can make that transition easier. We really just want to take the guesswork out of it. And it is setting aside your income. So like I did, I set aside the £950. I set aside the 2.2. I set aside the 4.2. And I had that as my safety net. And I just relied on my nannying salary over those 3 months. Lifestyle creep is real. We do not need to have a lifestyle creep. Even if you're making 10K a month, you do not need to have your lifestyle creep yet. Really get comfortable with the income that you're earning, get out of scarcity mode, and then you can start enjoying the fruits of your labor. So it's setting aside that so when your time comes where you do want to be able to step away from your job because double your time is double your income, you should by then have a couple of months of income ready as a buffer. Will it still feel scary? Sure, but at that point you're going to have proof of concept, confidence, and an emergency fund. There is no better time to take that leap than then. I would also always encourage to focus on building your skill to become valuable rather than just focusing on the money. Too many women make this mistake and they see the lifestyle online and they just want to make those 10K months overnight and they just want to do it in the quickest possible way. People probably find this hard to believe when I say, when I came into this industry, even though I was desperate for more money. I had a £6,000 car bill and I had no idea how I was going to pay it. I was paycheck to paycheck. I was heavily in scarcity mode and I truly hated my life, to be perfectly honest. I did not think about the money in high ticket sales. I thought, and the first thing I said is, what is it that I need to do to become the absolute best at my craft? To have the absolute top tier skill that is going to make me valuable. Become valuable first and the money follows. Start working on the woman you want to be and you will become that woman. Stop trying to become her overnight. Stop trying to think of the fastest way you can make 10K overnight. Focus on becoming truly exceptional at what you do. That is the quickest possible way to those 10K months. That is the secret, but that's not the sexy secret. People want to know how they can make money like this, so that is what is sold to you. But actually, you need to become valuable. You need to become the woman that gets hired throughout hundreds of applicants. That was me. I got hired out of 150 applicants and I had no sales experience because I was an asset. And you need to position yourself as that asset. Something else that is important on this journey is you need to stop hanging out with people who are bringing you down. I cut a lot of people off when I got into this journey. Is that compulsory? Of course not. But I needed to be in a position where I was head down and I was tunnel vision. And I knew there was only a certain amount of people that would understand that transition, and there was a lot of people who would judge it. Do not be afraid to prioritize yourself and be selfish. It is crucial to build your dream life. And now I have new friends and new connections who understand, who are like-minded. And I didn't need those old friends anyway because they weren't adding anything to my life. They were purely just keeping me stuck. So even though this is separate to monetary and skill, this is super important because you are, in my opinion, the sum of the 5 people you hang around with. So if you're hanging around people who are low vibration, who are bringing your goals and dreams and aspirations down, they have to go. We need to get comfortable with the uncomfortable. And this is the investment mindset. We need to get comfortable with investing in ourselves. We need to get comfortable with putting money up front, putting time up front, putting effort up front without an immediate reward. We need to learn to trust ourselves. Now that will come with time. I didn't trust myself for a long time, but we need to learn that confidence comes with time. Confidence comes with knowledge. So we have to be okay with putting ourselves out there and not seeing any reward for 30, 60, 90 days. Obviously not if you're in my program, it's typically 30 to 60 days. But we have to get uncomfortable with investing in the mentor, learning the high income skill, putting in the time, saying no to going out with friends, investing in yourself, watering your grass and pouring into your cup. That is so important, and that is what holds so many women back, is they don't actually want to invest in themselves. They'd rather spend their income on that one holiday a year rather than a skill that can upskill themselves so they can holiday 5 times a year. And that is the programming. We have to deprogram that mindset that we are taught to know that we have to invest in ourselves. Nothing worth having is going to come free. Education does cost money, but it's not being thrown away. It is to educate yourself to become valuable, to earn more money. There's 3 more parts to this puzzle. The next is mindset. Mindset is huge. We have to really work on our mental resilience during this transition because it's going to be tough. You're going to doubt yourself. You're going to feel like maybe you made a mistake. I had many days where I was up and down and high and low. That is normal. You have to trust yourself. You have to trust why you were taking this step in the first place, why you did this, why you took that leap of faith, because you know that reason, and deep down you know you're meant for more. So it's just about building that resilience of rejection, of delayed gratification, to help you become the woman that you want to be. The second final thing that's part of the plan is putting your 90-day plan of action in place. This is not going to happen in a week. This is not going to happen in 2 weeks. This is not going to happen in 3 weeks. This takes time. This is why my program is not just 90 days long, because it even can take more than 90 days to really refine your skill. But your first 90 days are crucial. The skill you're learning, how fast you're moving, how many role plays you're doing, how many job applications you're doing, what jobs you're applying to, the conversations you're having. The ladies in my program, if you've seen any of my case studies, this doesn't just happen by chance. Best believe we put a very proven concept, a very proven plan in place for them to execute, and they execute that to a T. So it's making sure that you have a proven roadmap and a proven plan that has been done time and time again. So this transition can take 90 days. It doesn't have to take a year, 2, 3, 4 years. You don't have to doubt yourself. You don't have to fail. Like, there's a proven concept that's actually going to allow you to accelerate and move with speed, because that is the most important thing, especially on this journey, is you want to move with speed as much as possible for you to see the results as quickly as possible, so fear and doubt doesn't start creeping in. So yeah, it's important to really be granular, hold yourself to a higher standard, time block your calendar so after you finish work, you know you have to do X, Y, and Z. Treat this like you're showing up to an appointment. That is so important to be able to see success. And the final thing that I want you to do is to always keep in mind why you are doing this. Keep your vision board. My vision board is on my phone, and I have here every day what I am working towards and what my dream life is. Build your vision board, journal, really have something there. So when times get tough, or when you feel scared, or when you feel overwhelmed, or when things aren't going your way, you have something to look back on that's really going to allow you to keep on pushing forward. Because making a transition like this, following a plan like this, isn't going to be easy. It's not going to be linear. There's going to be highs and lows. But if you don't quit, you can't fail. So if you follow this plan to a T, if you make notes of everything that I've just said from start to finish, trust me when I say, in the next 6 months, you are going to be a completely different woman. You're going to have a completely different life, and you can thank me later, because this works. And I know this works because I've not only done this with myself, I have done this with so many women now. It's pretty much a copy and paste blueprint, I say, when you're coming into my program. All you have to do is execute, which I think is really cool. Like, I'm really proud that we've been able to build out such a proven concept. And if you want to know what that looks like, we have a case study section on the YouTube channel where you can go and look at a handful of some of our best case studies that are like 30, 45-minute long interviews with some of our top students, where you're seeing women like Paulina go from a law graduate to making 21K a month at 22 years old, or Karuna, who went from an optometrist to making 10K. Now she's actually gone on to make 20K. Or Shana, who's, I think she's 18 or 19 years old, who's making 15K plus because she's taking that action. It's never too late to start. It's never too late to follow your dreams. You just need a plan of action. And if you're looking to really get into this and really take that step, there's going to be a link in my bio where you can book a call and we can look at building that plan of action together. See you in the next one.